Let's open our eyes to the world that's around us. Science has the answers to the questions that have found us.
Malia Science.
And stay tuned. At the end of this video, you're going to see Radical Roland the Daredevil jump over a 1970 Volkswagen bus on his mini bike using a ramp. Another simple machine we're going to learn about. So check it out at the end of this video. So, Roland, what type of science video should we do today?
I don't know. Let's think. Maybe something with electricity.
Electricity? I don't know if I want the kids playing with electricity, because then their parents will have to ground them. I'll explain it later. Let's keep it simple. I got it. Simple machines.
Yeah. What's a simple machine?
Good question. What's a simple machine? A simple machine is a device with few or no moving parts that helps us do work. Now, you might think of work as going to school or a job or, whatever your parents do. But work in science is any force that causes something to move. Any force. And a force is just a push or a pull. And see, these simple machines help us to change our force or increase our force. And I guess let's start off with an example. First example of a simple machine we're going to talk about is a lever. Now, levers are all around us. Light switches, brooms, wheelbarrows, teeter-totters, all around us. And what a lever is, it's simply a plank. In this case, we're going to use this ladder as a plank. A fulcrum, that's a new word, a fulcrum. This is just a part of the lever that the plank rests upon. And we need a load, something to lift. How about you be the load this time? Get on the end of that lever. And a force. Whoop.
Whoa.
Whoop. Just like a teeter-totter. This is a lever. The force I push in lifts the load. Now, there are 3 different classes of levers. And we're going to go over them real quick with this teeter-totter of science. First is a class 1 lever, like we just showed you. This is the load on one end, the fulcrum in the middle, and the force on the other end. Now, you can see I am more of a load than Roland is right now. But the farther he gets from that fulcrum, the more his force is going to be increased. Let me show you. So he can't lift me right now. Step off. Now, let's back it up. Step back a little bit so I don't step off for a sec. I'm going to get down on this end. Now I'm right next to the fulcrum. Push down. Whoa! He can lift me easily. Yeah. The farther he is from the fulcrum, the more force his force is increased. And you can see this in a lot of places. Here's another example of a class 1 lever. A hammer. We know hammers are used for putting in nails, but we can also use them as a lever to take out nails. Now, I don't have enough force to pull that out. But if I use this part of my hammer as my fulcrum and this as the plank, I can increase my force. Whoop, that's a lot of force right there. Pulled the nail right out. I couldn't have done that with my hands.
Sure.
Crowbars and wrenches are also examples of class 1 levers. I'm sure you've all seen your mom, dad, grandpa, grandma, or maybe even you have used a wrench before. You can't go up to a car and just take the bolts off or the nuts off with your hands, can you? No. But that wrench helps you, or the socket set helps you increase your force so that you're strong enough to take the bolt off a wheel. Now, let's look at the next type of lever. Cut. A class 2 lever has the same exact parts, just in a little bit of a different order. We have the fulcrum still, and the load, get in the middle, and the force. So, the load is in the middle. That's an example of a class 2 lever. Here's some other examples of a class 2 lever. A wheelbarrow. Step on in. There's actually another simple machine on this wheelbarrow. It's kind of a lever mixed with a wheel and axle. But you can see the load's in the middle. The fulcrum is the wheel. And
A nutcracker's also a different kind of class 2 lever.
the third type of lever is a class 3 lever. We have a fulcrum at one end, the load at the other end, and the force goes in the middle. Now this lever wouldn't really lift him up because that end's not really attached to the fulcrum, and I would just end up lifting this. But I would pull up here if this was attached and it would lift him. We see these types of levers in some different places. For example, a broom. Our arm is the force, this hand is the fulcrum, and the load is the dirt we're sweeping up. Another place we see them is fishing poles. We can't just throw our line out, but this type of fulcrum, helps us to cast far. This type of class 3 lever, cast so hard my bobber fell off. We're gonna do a little test with the class 3 lever and see if it's really increasing Roland's force. So, even though your arm is kind of a lever, so he is still using a little bit of a lever, he's going to just not use the fishing pole and try and throw the bobber as far as he can in that direction. Hi. Woo! All right, good. Now, let's try it with the fishing pole. Okay.
Here we go.
And I'll go stand where you did before, where you got the last one, and see if you can throw it further using the fishing pole. Woo! Definitely a lot higher and a little bit further.
Yeah.
So, the class 3 lever did increase Roland's force. The next simple machine we're going to talk about is the pulley. Now, pulleys are pretty cool. Now, one pulley changes the direction of the force. So, if I hold that, if I were to pull down, the rope goes up. That's what one pulley does. I pull down, the rope goes up. Those are very useful for flagpoles, right? There's one right outside of your school, and you can see that when they want to put the flag up, the rope is attached to a pulley at the top. They pull down, the flag goes up. But here's the cool thing about pulleys. More than one pulley, 2 pulleys, does something different. It increases your force. So we just saw that one pulley changes the direction of your force. But when I put 2 pulleys together, it will actually increase my force. What's going to happen is I'm going to pull down and Roland's going to go up. But since there's a pulley here, or 2 ropes here, let's say he weighs 70 pounds. If I put 35 pounds of pressure, it should double. So this is going to pull with 35 pounds, and this is going to pull with 35 pounds. And it's going to lift 70 pounds.
Whoa.
A lot easier to lift him this way than if I just lifted him with one pulley. So it's not quite doubling it because it's something called friction. But that's how 2 pulleys work. And if we keep adding pulleys and pulleys, you could lift your principal with 1 finger. That's how much the force would increase. Now, the next simple machine we're going to talk about is an inclined plane. You might know it as something called a ramp. Now, a ramp spreads out the force you need, so you only have to use a little bit of force at a time to do a job. to do some work. So, for example, if I said, hey, Roland, can you jump up there? Give it a try. Just jump as high as you can.
What?
No, there's not enough force in his legs. But if we said, hey, Roland, can you run up this inclined plane? He can move his 70 pounds to the height of 5 feet. That's using a simple machine. Now, I know you've used those, especially if your bedroom or something is on the second floor of your house. You don't go outside of the window and jump up to the second floor of your house, do you? No, you go up the stairs, which is just an example of an inclined plane. All right, guys, the moment you've all been waiting for. Daredevil Radical Roland is going to jump over a Volkswagen bus on his mini bike. He's going to come right down here. Now, he's going to need this inclined plane to help launch him over the Volkswagen bus on his mini bike. All right? You ready? Let's see if he can do it. Do you think he can? I don't know. Let's look. All right. Faster! Faster! Woohoo! He did it! He did it! Woohoo! He did it! Unbelievable! He jumped over a Volkswagen bus on his mini bike. Woo! I was worried there. He used this inclined plane to jump over the Volkswagen bus that was on his mini bike. Not what you were expecting? Well, explain the prepositions. Great job, Daredevil Roland.
Yeah.
Let's open our eyes to the world that's around us. Science has the answers to the questions that have found us.
Malia Science.
Woo!